Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I really appreciate you guys for joining. I'm your host for today, and my name is Ayomide Otokiti, as you can see on the screen. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt and a Black Belt facilitator in one of the fastest growing FMCGs in Nigeria currently as we speak. And a few years of work experience, I would say 3 years of work experience in process improvement as it regards continuous improvement methodologies. And I have with me this morning an expert in his field. I'm a learner when it comes to this particular field. So person joining me this morning is Mr. Oluwatobi Ajayi. He's a business intelligence and a digital marketing strategist, also a marketing manager and a unified protocol specialist. So he'll be the one taking the session this morning as regards the topic we have today, which more light will be shed as regards that topic. So just before I invite Mr. Oluwatobi Ajayi to go ahead with dishing out knowledge to us, I would just like to tell us a little about what we do in Authority. So basically, Authority Solutions, we actually cover all levels of certifications at different categories of IT, cybersecurity, and so many. We prepare candidates for such exams like CISSP, ITO Prince 2. Also, we dive a little bit out of the IT sector into the manufacturing industry, where we talk about process improvements and some business intelligence, continuous improvement methodologies using the DMIC methodology, DFSS, and a little bit of, will I say, QFD. So based on this, back in February, we held a webinar centered on the topic discovering the product the customer wants. So this is just a summary of the webinar we held back in February. We can see people that joined us from several industries, from the manufacturing industries, from the advertising, marketing, PR, finance, engineering, across the world. See people coming from Nigeria, US, Canada, and Germany joining us for the first webinar we held, which we still have a link to the video, which you can see on the screen for those that would like to listen. So based on this experience and the outcome of the first webinar, we've decided to have a little bit of switch into the IT sector, which is why we're holding today's webinar centered on remote jobs in the cyberspace. So just with me, as I already introduced our experienced and I would say is a specialist in this field, Mr. Oluwatobi Ajayi. I'll be inviting him over now just so that he can take over and start from where I'm handing over. Thank you very much, Mr. Oluwatobi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you for the introduction, Ayomide. Yeah, my name is Toby. I will be walking us through my experiences, personal experiences when it comes to the remote space in general. So before we go far, let me try to share my presentation with everyone. Hello, everyone. Can everyone see my screen, please?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Sorry for the break in transmission. So basically what I'll be speaking on today is how to leverage remote work, and digital nomadism in the gig economy. Basically, what do I mean by leveraging remote work, which was why I put AKA how to earn some dollars. I'd like to assume that most of us that are working or trying to get remote work are mostly not trying to get it in Africa, usually in North America and Europe, and Asia too, as the case may be. And the standard means which they usually do the payments, is in dollars. So yeah, all the grammar aside, it's basically how to earn some money through remote work. So the first thing I want us to sort of understand is, the trajectory of remote work and how it has come to play, in the current tech space as a whole. But I don't know how many of us are familiar with the iron triangle of product development. It's basically what I'll be using to sort of explain what work has become, right, in the 21st century, especially for tech guys in general. So basically what the iron triangle of product development is saying is, so basically you can see this triangle. At the three edges, you can see cheap, fast, and good, right? So basically for a product to be developed, you can only have two at a time, right? So if you're trying to develop a cheap product that is good, you are probably not going to do that in a short period of time, right? If you're also trying to do a good product that is fast, that the development process is fast, it's most likely won't be cheap. An example is the COVID-19 vaccine that was developed, right? In a short period of time. We can see, the cost of actually producing those vaccines were quite expensive. And governments had to take over acquisition, the United Nations had to subsidize for countries, etc. So basically, this triangle is sort of what I'm trying to relate the traditional working system with, and also what's the modern way of working, the new ways of working, which is mostly remote, is. So I also created a similar triangle, which I'm calling the iron triangle of employment. Also having three things to consider as well. This is a triangle representing the existing and old ways of working, right? So you have a point that talks about where you live. You have a part of the triangle that talks about where you work, which is your employer, and the third option of what you do, right, which is what you actually do for work. So basically, with the traditional model of work, with regards to you being physically present, you can only pick two of these things at a time. So if you're hell bent, on instance, on living in Lagos, then it means the companies you can work for, right, would probably be companies in Lagos alone. So it becomes a factor of the companies you can only work for, or the services those companies are providing, right, is going to to a large extent determine the kind of job that you get to do. So if you're hell bent on picking where you live and where you work, for instance, then it's only the services that they have to offer, the job positions that they have to offer that you can do. So if you're hell bent on, for instance, what you can do for work, right? So for if you're looking at cybersecurity, for instance, right? So you're a cybersecurity specialist. You're hell bent on working as a cybersecurity specialist. Then you're hell bent on where you want to work, which is this. Then it means that you don't have control where you want to live. So, for instance, as a cybersecurity person, if you're hell bent on working with, I don't know, Twitter. So Twitter is coming to Africa now, but Twitter's office is in Ghana, and for some reason, it means a lot of what you will be doing means that you're no longer in control of where you live. You probably have to move to Ghana, right, at some point. So that's the general trajectory of employment and work over the last couple of decades. And this is beginning to change, especially with remote work. So what remote work gives you is the solution to the iron triangle, right? So with remote work, you are basically in control of these three factors: where you choose to live, where you work, and actually what you do. So, which is, what you do is almost always a constant. Everybody has something they went to study in school. Everybody has a passion that they're trying to do. So more often than not, you're trying to pick that as a constant, then trying to decide where you want to work or where you want to live. So what the remote work gives you is the ability to actually select these three conditions and still be able to get good jobs. You're able to live where you want to live, and you're able to do whatever it is you want to do. So for instance, Currently, I'm working with Unified Protocol. Unified Protocol is a cryptocurrency DeFi platform currently in Singapore. And they really don't care about where I live, right? So for instance, I'm in Nigeria right now. I can decide to up and leave and go to Madagascar tomorrow. And I think nobody really cares where I stay, except that I have deliverables that I'm supposed to meet, and I'm supposed to deliver those things on time. That's all. So it means I'm in control of all the factors, in this employment triangle, which is especially what I'm trying to emphasize, trying to draw a distinct line between what currently exists with regards to remote work and what used to exist with regards to the traditional ways of working. So the question then is, what skill sets, right, do we need to solve this iron triangle? Basically for me, and it's based on personal opinion and my experience, I think we are quite lucky for a lot of us that are operating in the tech space, because it gives us that flexibility, right? So based on my experiences, I've had colleagues who have tried to also get remote work, some in HR, for instance. It's going to be quite difficult for a company, for instance, to take on an HR person who isn't going to be physically present in the company. Probably in Nigeria, for instance, are trying to get an HR job for a company in abroad. It's going to be a lot more difficult than you having an IT skill set. So I think generally for people in the IT space, it's quite easy, right, for you to solve this dilemma, the iron triangle dilemma. And basically the skill sets you need, not the only skill sets, but most of the jobs you're going to be seeing regarding remote work are mostly IT based. So for me, I think one of the most important things that the skill sets you need to solve the iron triangle dilemma is being in the field of IT. And I'm going to assume a large percentage of us that are on this webinar are probably playing in that space already. So congratulations on that. And I've got more good news for you, right? So for people in the cybersecurity space, which has been modernized to, if you see where I highlighted here, has been modernized to proactive security, which is still cybersecurity anyways, but proactive in the sense that, the whole point is preventing, your systems from being breached in the first place. So it's basically creating structures and creating frameworks that prevent, right, security breach. So hence the proactive security. Yeah, so you can see based on the trajectory, of the data we have here, according to Burning Glass, with regards to the fastest growing job skills for 2021, cybersecurity is one of them, which means that, there's a demand for it. So if you're looking at this graph as a whole, you're looking at people in quantum computing, people in connected technologies, IoTs, people in fintech, AI, IT automation. All these people need cybersecurity skill sets. So I'm also even looking at a point where cybersecurity would probably move higher up the chain at some point, because all tech companies are going online. All tech companies have data and information that they need to secure. And so it means that for every tech company, the roles of cybersecurity experts are quite invaluable to them. And so this is also a further breakdown of pinpointing the 10 most disruptive skills as at December 2020. And you can also see proactive security being one of the highest, actually the third, with regards to the skill sets that people are actually trying to acquire globally. Enough with the data. So, the question, everyone is asking, I'm sure most of us are asking, is how do I get the jobs? Basically, there are four factors that I've itemized based on my experience and a lot of applications that I've had to do. One is the kind of resume that you have, that you're sending out. The second is the kind of cover letter that you're also sending out. The third is research, and the fourth is the interview itself. And I probably should have added the fifth one, which is basically the number of applications that you take out, right? So I will touch on this individually so we can all get a context to what I'm trying to say. So for resume, I'm sure a lot of us have, we have our resume. We have a lot of things that, a couple of jobs that we've applied for over the years. But one thing I've come to realize, especially with foreign organizations and how they basically assess resumes, is basically a breakdown of the specific roles that, the specific tasks that you actually performed in those organizations. So for instance, I'm working with crypto locally, right? As the marketing manager for Africa. Most of my jobs and daily routines are built around performance marketing, partnerships marketing for them, PR and media rounds, managing communities, etc. So basically, if I'm trying to build a resume specifically for that job title in that organization, it shouldn't just be resumes around the specific things I'm doing alone. It should be the implications of those things, right, for the organizations, which makes the work, makes your resume more convincing, to most of these organizations. So for instance, I'm talking about, so my daily job is managing community managers, overseeing the community managers globally. But that has an implication for the business. What did I actually do while overseeing these people? So for instance, I could be saying that I developed new frameworks, right, which sort of optimize the community managers' processes with regards to how they manage the community. I developed framework with regards to how to manage individual community activities, created a logbook, for instance, so that it's easy for us to also document the activities, of community managers globally. So it's not just about listing what you do, but listing how what you did actually helped optimize, the processes of operations for the organization itself. So that's just an example to sort of contextualize what I mean by not just listing out, your day-to-day routines, but how do those routines help scale the business? How have they provide solutions to the businesses? So whatever routine or whatever task that you perform in organizations, when you are using it in your resume, you should also try as much as possible to list the implications of those tasks and how what you have done or what you have brought to the table regarding completing those tasks. For the cover letter as well, I'm also sure a lot of us have had experiences with cover letters, but one thing that has helped me a lot is my cover letter, and this is simply because as we go forward, I'll also show you a walkthrough of the platform I use for most of my applications. And this is mostly, your cover letters are important because it explains, so cover letters typically are supposed to explain your resume, especially with, there's not a lot you can say in the resume, right? Because it's not supposed to be too long. So your resume is supposed to be an explanation of just your different roles for different organizations. So let's say, for instance, you've worked for 4 organizations. What you did for them is in your resume already. Your cover letter is then supposed to explain those roles in context to the kind of job that you're applying for, right? So you're a cybersecurity specialist that work with an IT firm. Your resume should be explaining also. So it's like a breakdown, right, of your day-to-day routines and also what you brought to the table as well. So it's like a longer version of, of the your day-to-day routine that you already added in the resume itself. Also, one of the things that are important, especially in your resume, is the section of your resume where you talk about your skill sets. And I think it's quite important for me to touch on this because sometimes when you've worked in the Nigerian space, tech space for so long, and the requirements and the things you need to be successful in cybersecurity, for instance, in Nigeria, are not necessarily, the skill sets you need to be successful for an IT firm or a company in Europe or North America. So one of the things I do with regards to updating myself with the kind of skill sets that I needed and the kind of tools, right, that I need to use. That's a section of your CV where people put Excel, they put Windows, or they put whatever it is. The tools that they are familiar with. So at this point, for you to be able to, align yourself with actual global practices when it comes to the kind of skill set and the kind of tools you use for your daily operations. One of the things you might want to do is do your research. You could even check. So typically, a couple of those jobs actually tell you right? That they need someone that is proficient in certain aspects. So for instance, I'm using more marketing because it's the field I'm more familiar with than cybersecurity. So for instance, as a marketing person, you'd get job ads that tell you, for instance, they don't just want you to be an average marketing person. They're looking for someone who is proficient with Tableau, who is proficient in SQL, and also basically when you're drafting a CV, for those kind of jobs, it would be good to also ask those things. So yeah, I mean, there's always the question of what if I don't know about Tableau? What if I don't know about SQL? Well, one of the things I've come to realize is research, right? Sometimes it's not so much about the practical knowledge of the tools, but basically how the tools work based on the research you have. And there's always going to be issues with if you want to have a practical knowledge of all the tools that organizations are asking for. But what research does for you is you being able to understand how the tools work, even if you've never used it, and be able to speak about it, right? So it gives you, at least it makes you more conversational when they're asking you questions regarding those tools. And it gives them, an impression that, to a large extent, you understand how you can leverage the tool for what they need you to use the tool for on their platform. So yeah, so for me, it's about doing your research in regards to most job applications will typically have it. Basically the kind of tools that they expect you to be able to use, because that's what the organization is using. So once you check those job ads and you see the tools that they are requesting, it's usually advisable to add it to, the tools that you're familiar with on your resume, and also read on it and try to get you. There's nothing you can't see on YouTube these days. So you probably see a walkthrough of how to use those tools on YouTube as well, just so you familiarize yourself with it before the interview itself, which basically covers the research points here. So for the interview, well, one thing based on my experience also is you need to be spontaneous. I think it's one of the most important things for most of the foreign interviews that I've had to do. And it's pretty much because, or like most Nigerian jobs per se, the interviews are not necessarily designed for you not to pass. Like, the one-on-one interviews, they're basically designed for them to know if you're the right fit, not just based on skill set alone, but based on the kind of mentality you have as an applicant, right? So at least most of my experiences with Nigerian interview processes, you get a lot of trick questions, basically more focused on your skill sets than actually how your mentality and how your psyche aligns with the general goal of the organization. But most of what you're going to be getting, there are a lot of people that are good at what you do. And there are a lot of people applying for the job that you're also applying for globally, actually. So you're not even just competing with Nigeria applicants, you're competing with applicants from different parts of the world. So basically, at that point, it's not just about, definitely you need to get your skill set game up. You need to understand the field. You need to understand your field itself. But most times, at the end of the day, the edge you typically get is, one, how conversational you are in those interviews. How much of your goals, how much of your thinking aligns with what the organization is trying to achieve. Mostly that's a high determining factor. Of what determines whether you're going to get the job after the interview. So they ask you a couple of questions: why you want to leave where you're looking, where you're currently working. They ask you questions around typically where you see yourself in the next 5 years. They also talk about their own company culture and ask you what you think of that culture as well. And if you've had prior experiences in those kind of working environments, if you've had prior experiences, with regards to certain things that they do in the organizations, right? So for instance, as an IT person applying for a remote work, one of the things that you get is if you've even had experiences doing remote work. And this is a question that comes up quite often in a lot of interviews I've had to do. Have you had any experience doing remote work? the answer I always give, so for the first remote work I got, the answer I gave was yes. It was a lie, but it was also practical for me because I was putting myself in the shoes of an employer. And if we're trying to get a diverse team, right, we have people from Hong Kong, we had people from Vietnam, we had people from South Africa on the team, right, operating on different time zones. So the organization also wants to know if, I mean, it's something that you can do comfortably and also be efficient at. So typically the response I give was, I mean, as an IT person, working remote typically comes with the job. And I've been using more of the COVID-19 period to armor on that. Like, I mean, even if you don't have a remote work experience, for most of us, we have to work remotely during COVID-19. So it's an experience you can also leverage on. I mean, that's while you might not have worked remotely for a long time. I mean, the COVID-19 period has sort of given you the sort of leverage, sort of experience to know what remote work is like, and I mean, know how to maneuver remote work to be more productive. They could also ask you questions around why, I mean, what has your experience with remote work been so far? So basically, it's your ability to be able to contextualize your own experiences, right? And be able to tailor it to the kind of job that you're trying to get. So that's pretty much it for those 4 points. And the next one would be, which I actually forgot to add, but I will also discuss it as well. It's for me, it's a game of numbers, right? So you never really know which job is going to get picked. I mean, which of your applications is going to get picked. So what I do is, I'll also walk you through the websites. So what I do is, I do a bulk of applications. Typically on average, at some point, I was doing like 10 per day. Then some gets accepted. So you can have like 3-4 get accepted. So typically it takes about 2 weeks. So when you submit an application, within a space of 2 weeks, you probably should get a notification or something, whether you've been accepted or not. So what that gives you is, it's a game of numbers. So the more applications you have out there, the more the probability of you getting picked. I know some people get weary with regards to how do I put it here? Some people don't handle rejection well. So I've had experiences with friends that I shared platforms with, and they apply for 5-6 jobs, get rejected, and they drop out. What I always say is, sometimes the rejection is not a reflection of your skill sets per se. Like I said, you're competing with a global audience. So for instance, if you are seeing a job ad for an organization, and as you're seeing it, probably people globally seeing the platform, depending on how much traffic the platform is getting, right? So you have the Chinese people seeing it, you have Indians seeing it, you have all African countries, as long as they have accounts on the platforms, also seeing it, probably having the same skill sets as yourself. So sometimes the rejection is not a reflection of, oh, I'm not good at my job. You're not competing. It's not yourself against the company, right? It's yourself against other candidates that are trying to apply for the job as well. So sometimes they're looking for, I mean, the job says you need 5 years experience, right? So apply for the job. You have 3 years experience. There are like 10 or 20 other people who have 5 years experience. Some people even have more experience. Some people have 7 years experience as well. So a lot of those rejections are not necessarily a factor of you not being good enough or your CV not being good enough. It's just a reflection of which of these candidates is closest to what we are looking for, right? So it's typically about you keep applying for the jobs. Of course, get your resume right, get your cover letters right, and then keep applying for those jobs. You definitely get picked. I mean, for instance, in the last 2-3 weeks, recently I shared, so I have a friend that is a products designer, right? Around 3-4 months ago, sorry, three weeks ago, I'm seeing some questions coming in. There will be, I mean, we have a Q&A session after all the discussions. So I'll be responding to them much later. Yeah, so pretty much what I'm saying is it's always a game of numbers. Get as much applications out there as possible and forget about it. You probably get an email sometime to schedule an interview or something. So like I was saying, I got a friend of mine. I just got the link. I think he sent me a message earlier that day that is looking for a product design job for a foreign company. I think around 2 a.m. that day. So typically I go through job application, foreign job ad websites almost every day, just to see which jobs are out there, which one I could apply for. So I think I saw that product design work. I sent it to him just on 2 a.m. then on WhatsApp. Within 2 days, he actually applied. So I sent him 2 jobs. Within 2 days, he got a call for an interview. Before the end of the week, he actually got a job paying him around $40,000 a year. So for me, I mean, of course, there are situations like that where the person doesn't apply for too long, but there are also situations that you get you need to do a lot of applications as well. I shared a marketing gig with someone recently. I just walked him through the website, helped him develop is the platform, so he knows how to set it up and how to use it. Also within a week as well, he was able to get 2-3 interviews as well. So you need to push a lot of applications out there, definitely, but you would get responses. Trust me, you will get responses once you've been able to build a proper resume, and also you've been able to build a convincing cover letter as well. Yeah, so straight to the point, right? So where do I find these jobs? Basically, there are a lot more. For me, I spend a lot of my time on angel.co, which is the first one that I have highlighted here. You have Glassdoor as well, glassdoor.com. You have indeed.com. You have linkedin.com as well. So most of my job applications, which I would be working us through angel.co jobs, are dominant on angel.co. And the reason why I focus more on angel.co is simply because angel.co has a lot of startups. So a lot of startups in Europe, in North America, in Asia use angel.co. A lot of startups are more inclined to recruit people remotely. One, because they don't have a lot of money to throw around, like recruiting people in the US, right? So they're always more open to recruiting people in Africa because they feel they're going to spend less. But of course, when you earn this kind of money and you do the conversion in Nigeria, it's a lot of money. But for them, it's not a lot. So for instance, like my friend, the product designer guy I was talking about earlier, he got a job for $40,000, right? So he was telling me the conversation he had with the CEO. It's a UK company. It's a cryptocurrency company in the UK. He was telling me the conversation he had with the CEO. The CEO was telling him the other guy that they probably would have given the job, especially most of the applicants in the UK, were looking for a range of $80,000 per year, right? And he was collecting half of that and probably delivering almost the same quality as those guys, if not even better. So there's a leverage that we also get as Africans in regards to conversions and how low we're willing to go relatively, right? But that's pretty much what I'm trying to explain with regards to the startups. A couple of them are looking to cut down on their cost and spend less to get the same value. So for instance, also crypto locally, who I also currently work with, are looking for like developers, right? In different parts of Africa. So we just recruited a front-end developer some weeks back. They reached out to me as well that they wanted a front-end developer from Nigeria because they understood, it's going to cost them less, but the guy is probably making $2,500 per month, which is quite a lot of money when you convert it to Nigeria, to Nigerian Naira. So basically for me, I spend a lot of time on angel.co. You can also check out other platforms, glassdoor.com, indeed.com. So there's a link I put here as well. So this link puts, I think, about 100 websites for remote jobs. So If you guys can just screenshot this or type this out, you'd be able to see like a list of, I think, over 100 remote jobs websites that you can also explore. I mean, it's not sacrosanct that you have to, I mean, focus on angel.co as well. So this is just these are the top 3 ones that I've had experiences with, so to speak. But then angel.co still comes first for me. LinkedIn, I've not really been using LinkedIn for job applications. I've heard a lot of people do use it. What I use LinkedIn for is online presence, right? So for instance, a couple of those foreign guys, where you're filling the application form, I mean, the information they ask you to fill when you want to apply for a job, they typically ask you for your LinkedIn profile URL, right? It's basically for them to also know whether you're active in your professional network, right? In terms of the experiences you have. They also want to check your organization's profile on this platform as well. So it's good for you to have a proper LinkedIn account set up with all your profiles and skill sets up there. And interestingly enough, I've got like 3 people in the last, just this year alone anyways, reach out to me on LinkedIn. So currently my latest job with Unified Protocol, I sent a request to the guy, a connection request to one of the guys randomly on LinkedIn. He checked my profile, he reached out to me. That's Unified Protocol was looking to employ a social media strategist for Unified Protocol is a cryptocurrency company as well. So that they're looking to bring about a social media strategist, and he has gone through my profile. And of course, because my profile was well set up with the kind of experiences I've had, he was able to, I mean, deduce that, I mean, this guy would be a good fit for our organization. He set up an interview with me. I met with him, passed that first interview with him, did a second interview with the co-founders of the organization. And yeah, I was given the job in the space of 2 weeks. So, I mean, there's a good part of having a proper LinkedIn account set up. Also to build connections and around your space, be it cybersecurity, be it marketing, be it software development, it doesn't really matter. It's good to have that network available. You actually never know when someone would see those profiles and reach out to you based on if it's properly set up as well. So that's pretty much what I have to say about those platforms. So I'm going to do a walkthrough. I would like to do a walkthrough of angel.co with everyone. Let me stop share so like we can have a better walkthrough. Can everyone see my screen, please? Hello?
Not yet.
Okay.
Probably you will share. It's saying you started sharing your screen, but we are not seeing it yet.
Okay.
It's okay now.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so this is angel.co. I don't know if anyone is following through, I mean, on their end as well, just so we can have a walkthrough. So typically you are going to angel.co/jobs, and you're supposed to set up an account, of course, register, etc. Once you're able to do that, what you're going to get is an home page, right? Basically, what I want to show us is what my profile is like. So this part of the website is quite important. The reason why it's important is because when you're applying for jobs, most of the jobs you will be applying for on angel.co, you will not be adding your CV to it, your resume to it. The only thing you will be adding is your cover letter, and you click on apply. So it means it's the information that you have on here that actually goes to them as a resume. The only thing that you get to change per job is the cover letter. So it means that you need to set this up properly, so that you're going to get the best value, out of the platform. Because if the right skill set are not put on here, if the right information are not put on here, you're going to be getting a lot of rejections. So what I want to show us, the important part of it, your bio. Mostly these parts are not really the important parts. This is the part that goes, this is the part, your work experience. This is the part that goes to, when I say non-important, I'm not saying you should leave it blank, right? I'm just saying that when you're applying for a job, your primary role is important. Years of experience is important. I think you can see the asterisks there already. So the asterisk ones are quite important. They go along with most of the applications you do. Your work experience is also important. So for instance, like I was saying earlier with regards to CV, so this work experience is supposed to be like a replica of your resume, right? So if you're looking at this, you'll be seeing what I was talking about earlier, overseeing crypto localist community managers globally, drove traffic and user acquisition through multi-platform paid and organic campaigns, developed and executed partnership marketing strategies to achieve the overall goals of the business, developed and executed go-to-market strategies for new listings on the platform. This sort of, what this does for me, like I was saying earlier, is to contextualize the routines of what I'm doing, right? And how it relates to the business to the organizations that I'm currently working for. So it's, this work experience aspect is quite important on the platform. So you have the list of organizations you worked for. Sometimes the organizations are not there. So Crypto Locally is not a Nigerian company. And they use this platform to advertise jobs. So you have their logos here. You have, you can go to their page and also see what the company does, etc. So the company has created an account on here already. But for platforms, most Nigerian companies I've worked with, like Lagos Business School, Traders of Africa, African Trade Invest, Woodford Public Relations Company, World Bank African Center of Excellence, Nigerian Television Authority, etc. Those guys don't have an account here. So there's really no profile to check out, but it still allows you to list those platforms as well. So these parts are important. Your work experience, you need to set that up. Your skills as well. It's going to give you an option to type the kind of skill sets. So for instance, you have cybersecurity here, as a cybersecurity person. So basically the kind of skill sets that a cybersecurity person would have. You can have all those possible combinations under skills. If you're looking at cloud computing is here, AWS cloud services. It could be Azure. They have Azure here as well. So those are the things that you should actually add to the platform. Achievements, you could add that as well. After this, you would be asked to upload your resume. That's the soft copy that you've initially prepared for probably other jobs that you've been applying for locally. So you can upload the resume here. Preferences. This preference is quite important because when you're trying to filter, we'll go back to the home page. So I'll show you what I mean by filter. When you're trying to do some filtering for the kind of jobs that you want to go for, a lot of the information you put here could probably restrict you to apply for those jobs, right? So I'll put here that I'm ready to interview. So if you're a bad guy and you want people to come to you, or you're not really looking for a job, you can put open to offers or close to offers, whichever one. But mine is on ready to interview because I'm practically always applying for jobs almost every day. Do you or will you require sponsorship, which is basically, so some jobs are open to paid relocation, right? So you're going to pay for your movement abroad and set you up, etc. Do you or will you require sponsorship? I put no here. The reason why I put no here is because there are some jobs that the way the advertisers have set them up, once you pick yes, it automatically disqualifies you from applying for the job. So I pick no so that my application even gets to the front door first. Then we can have a discussion about how this will be sorted out at some point in time anyway. So I pick no so it doesn't disqualify me from applying from certain jobs because the advertisers have set some parameters. But are you legally authorized to work in the United States? This I was truthful about. So no, I'm not. Yeah, what type of jobs are you interested in? Full-time employee, contractor, etc. Full-time job. Are you open to following job types? Yeah, so you can tick multiple ones, but I'm not looking to be a co-founder or an intern. So I'm also open to being a contractor. So what locations do you want to work in? Basically for me, anywhere outside of Africa. But funny enough, a couple of African countries actually advertise on angel.co. For instance, I'm supposed to have, I think, an interview next week with a cryptocurrency company in South Africa. Yeah, I think I reached out to them on here as well. So I don't have Africa here, but what locations do I want to work in? I just did Canada, Europe, United States, Toronto, Ontario, United Kingdom. Also ticking open to work remotely, which is basically what I'm concerned about. Desired salary, United dollars. I think it's to the, I mean, you can do pounds or euro. I mean, you probably still see these things. So it's not like when you pick United States of, I mean, when you pick USD here, you're not going to see jobs in pounds. You're still definitely going to see jobs in pounds. So this is just preferences, not, so it doesn't really affect, I mean, this part doesn't affect the kind of jobs you see in regards to the currency you're being paid in. Would you like to work at companies at this, I mean, of these sizes? I'm willing to work for any company that is willing to pay. So I didn't pick yes, I just did ideal. Yeah, but you can also pick yes. I mean, it's there's no law that says you can't pick yes. This is just what I chose, I mean, to go on with. You will need to set up a culture. That's the fourth part of the angel list profile, describing what you're looking for. I just put an opportunity to be a part of the growth process and development of a business. What environment do you work better in? I mean, there's no right or wrong answers for this. I mean, it's just, but because most of the organizations are startups, it might be better for you to do employees where a lot of assignments often require employees to figure it out on their own. Because if you're dealing with a lot of startups, which is the case for angel lists, you're not going to get organizations that have clear roles, HR people. So for instance, crypto locally that I'm working with, we don't have an HR person. We just have a bunch of tech guys, software developers, the marketing guys, the business development guys, and the co-founders. That's all. We don't have an HR. So you're not going to get this sort of big corporation structures that you're used to. So it might be good to just pick this rather than pick clear roles and self responsibilities, because I mean it makes you quite inefficient when you're in a structure that doesn't have that. I mean, that's the aura that you're pushing out. So it's better to just pick that. Yeah. So what's most important to you in your next job? Yeah, for me, I picked having a say in the company's and or my team's direction, challenging problems to work on. That's, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to this. Yeah. This, I didn't pick anything, of course. This is not, you can, I mean, there's no law that says you can't do this. So how important is it that your next job has a flexible remote work policy? Very important, depending on you. How important is it that you work in a quiet office? I mean, that's up to you as well. Which markets are you most interested in working in? Basically industry based. So you get an option to pick 4, I think. Yeah. And then you can filter out which industries you're not willing to work in. I think that's pretty much it for that. I think that's pretty much it for that. So what I will be doing next is showing you how the filter works. So basically, when you're done with that, you come back to the home page, right, where you search for jobs. So yeah, I mean, I did a preset before this started, so we're all on the same page. But because I mean, this is built around cybersecurity, so I'm assuming as a cybersecurity person, you're looking for roles relating to cybersecurity. Yeah, so it's going to ask you to do this, like, so what kind of job titles are you looking for? So let's say cybersecurity. Cybersecurity related jobs. You can do security engineer as an option. You can do which other field can we do? Maybe engineering. Okay, let's say DevOps. You can do let's say data engineer. Let's say data engineer, right? So we've picked that. And so by default, this section on your own platform, I mean, if you're doing it over there as well, it will most likely not be worldwide. So it's probably be Africa. So you need to clear this section. You need to delete everything in this box. So once you delete everything in this box, it's going to change to worldwide. But by default, it's not going to be worldwide. Also, this filter here, you need to change to only remote jobs, right? Because that's what you're going for at first. So only remote jobs. Once you do that, it automatically filters the list of jobs you're seeing. So you can then click. So there's a filter icon here that you can click. Basically this, you can determine the kind of currencies, but just leave this leave it empty. The only thing you need to do here is the job details, so full-time jobs or contract jobs, as the case may be for you. But I picked the two because I'm interested in both. Also, you can further filter with regards to the kind of company size you want. But like I said earlier, I don't care about the company size as long as the company has the money to pay. So that's pretty much all you need to do in that section. Yep. So once that is done, you click on view results, right? But one thing you then need to do is sort by. So there's a sort by icon here, button here, sorry. So click on sort by. It's by default, it's on recommended. But recommended gives you old jobs, mostly old jobs. And you don't want to be applying for a job ad that's been posted for a month, right? So you need something fresh. Yesterday, at least within the first 1 week you want, I mean, those are the kind of jobs you want. So change from recommended to newest, right? So once you change to newest, you get updated jobs. So you can see on the platform, there's a site reliability engineer for OLX today. Let's see if it's something that we can apply for. Yeah, so for this job now, it's just telling you to upload your resume, a small box on how did you hear about this job, GDPR jurisdiction, general data protection regulations on the kind of information you're sharing. Once you acknowledge, and you send your application for the job. So once you send the application, you automatically get an email on the email address that you used to set up these accounts, saying that the application has been sent. Once they accept your application, let me see if I can show you. Okay, let's be done with this first. So this is a senior cloud engineer job. Let's see, this was posted today. A remote possible. This is a $120,000 to $160,000 job. Yeah, we can apply. So like I said earlier, most of the jobs you apply for are going to come out like this. The only box here is your cover letter. That's the only thing you're putting in your sending application. So it means what you filled at the back on your profile with regards to your job experience is what gets sent to them. Or the CV or resume that you uploaded there also gets sent to them as well. So once you put in that cover letter, you send the application, it goes to them. I'm trying to see if just reduce the filter so we can have specifics on this. Yeah, so I wanted us to be able to see things relating to security more. So this is a DevOps engineer, cloud security job. This was posted yesterday. This is just asking for your phone number to upload your resume. And yeah, select one of the positions below. I mean, select one of the options below for that. That's the information that's asking from you. Product security engineer. Typically jobs with all these sort of informations, based on my experience, don't reach out to me. I need all these details filled because I feel like they are looking for someone. Okay, so like this, are you legally authorized to work? Are you legally authorized to work in the US, British Columbia, Ontario, and stuff? So yeah, so I think that's pretty much a walkthrough of that. Yeah, so once you apply for the job, typically, once the application has been accepted, you get an email notification that your application has been accepted. So there's a message box. There's a message box. So okay, so yeah, so this was yesterday, right? So yesterday, so I applied for this job, Red Planet Mining. It's a cryptocurrency job because I mean that's the field I currently play in, blockchain and cryptocurrency. So this is the cover letter I sent them. So it comes out like a chart. They responded to me. So you get this also in your email. Red Planets Mining accepted your application. So I sent a message saying, hello, Jerem. That's the person that accepted. Thank you for accepting my application. Hope you can fix a time to have a chat soon. So they responded, fixed the time for 10th of May. I think that's next week, Monday. I think. Yeah, next week, Monday. This time for the interview as well. So it's actually pretty much that straightforward. I think that's pretty much it for that. A quick walkthrough on how you receive payments. So currently I work with cryptocurrency companies, so I get paid in cryptocurrency. But if you want to receive actual USD, Payoneer is the platform to use for that. I'm not sure we have enough time for me to do a walkthrough of that again, but I mean, it's quite straightforward to set up. So you just need to go to payoneer.com for you to get the account set up. So they give you some sort of domiciliary accounts, a US bank account or a Canada bank account that you can send to whoever wants to pay you. And also your Payoneer is connected to your bank, right? So once the person pays that domiciliary account, you can then withdraw that money into your own private bank account. That you can set that up on the platform, on Payoneer itself. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I have for everyone. So Thanks for listening. I'll be taking questions now. Hello. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Toby, we can hear you.
All right. I think that's pretty much what I have for everyone. So I'll be taking questions right now.
Okay, so do I read out the questions or you take them directly from the chat session?
I think I'll just take them directly from the chat.
Okay, then, no problem.
Okay, from Caleb. Thank you for the exposition. Kindly advise, how can you research and evaluation experts with vast experiences in data analysis leverage on remote job? I mean, yeah, Caleb, data is like the new oil, as they say it is. So it's probably one of the fastest growing industries globally. This is basically because we have a lot of tech companies. We have more devices being connected, right? So there's a lot of big data being generated on the internet. They need more skill sets regards to data science and data analytics to actually make sense of those data for informed business decisions. So it's actually one of the fastest growing tech areas. I'm not sure we really don't have time, but I sent the slide to to the authority team. So they should be able to probably get to this. I think in the chart I showed regarding to the numbers, industries and fastest growing skill sets, data science or data analytics should be part of it. So I mean there's a lot of demand for those kind of jobs if you're good at it. Also you can, like I showed you on Angel.co, you can filter for your own specific skill set. I'm sure when I was doing that drop down for cybersecurity, you probably see data scientists or data science on it as well. So you can filter for those specific kind of job. I would advise that you probably get an extra skill set in Python if you don't already know that. Most of data related companies or people who need data are looking for people who are also good in Python as well. So so you can integrate with machine learning and AI and all of that. So I would recommend, yeah, there are remote jobs, definitely remote jobs for data analysis and data science. But I would also advise for you to upskill if you haven't done that already with regards to getting on board Python as a programming language. Okay, so I have a question from Kende saying, I'm not in the IT space. Is this for me? I studied offshore engineering, and where do I get these remote opportunities? I think I've done that. I showed you a walkthrough already. All you need to do is filter filter based on the kind of jobs you're looking for. I'm sure you'll be able to find something on the website as well. Joshua Chibueze, I'm a novice in the IT space. How do I get started? I'm not sure how to advise on this. But like I said, I shared the in-demand skills for IT generally, right? In 2020 and I think 2021 as well. So look at those fields, see where you can play and see the kind of skill sets you need to play in those fields. And yeah, that's where to start from. Understanding the kind of industries that are growing, that are looking to recruit more people, and understanding the kind of skill sets those industries need. Once you're able to identify that, then you're able to tailor, your own career development in that line as well. Please, do you have recommendations for acquiring new skills? I think what my response to Chibueze also covers that. For me, it's not just about acquisition of skills for acquisition's sake. It's about acquisition of skills that are actually going to be relevant, right? So, for instance, I've had conversations with a couple of guys saying they want to become software engineers, and as much as possible, you want to be able to develop things, build websites. Yeah, it's good, but there are a lot of website designers already. So my advice is to go into a field where you don't have a lot of people. Like for instance, I currently I'm moving towards the blockchain space. cryptocurrencies. And the reason why I've been focusing more on this is there are not a lot of, for instance, for a developer, I'm advising all developers to probably try to get towards blockchain development, become a blockchain developer. The reason is because there are not a lot of people who have those skill sets in Africa yet. Even globally, there are not a lot of people who have those skill sets regards to smart contracts, how to develop smart contracts, how to develop for blockchains. So for me, if you're going to develop, if you're just starting your career in software development or programming, I would advise you go towards industries that are not already saturated. So which means you don't have to be really exceptional at it for you to start getting jobs. You just need to be able to be good enough to do some basic things and develop yourself to start getting jobs. Because you're not going to see people who have 10 years experience in blockchain development, because when the blockchain technology actually start being practically used, right? So you still have a lot of time on your hands to learn those things and get a job as quick as possible, because there are not a lot of people in those fields. They're unlike someone who is going to software development for, let's say, web development, right? We've been developing websites for years. We have people with more experience. The field is choked already. So you're looking at spaces like blockchain, spaces like cloud computing, as new spaces around IT automation, Internet of Things as well. So Internet of Things, driverless cars and automation and all these things are quite new industries. There are not a lot of people with expertise in those fields yet. So if you're just looking to get into IT or build skill sets around the IT space, I would practically advise you to go towards that direction, because it's not choked yet. There are not a lot of skill sets around yet. So if you're looking for a market outside of Nigeria, I mean, you're probably not going to get a lot of jobs focused on blockchain in Nigeria or in Africa, right? So if you're looking to tailor your skill set more for global organizations, then you should go for the demand, the jobs that are in demand globally, right? The jobs that are getting more relevance globally, not, I mean, software development. No offense to software developers in the house. I think that's all the questions that I have. So over to you, Ayomide.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Toby. I think that is all for the presentation. I really appreciate you for giving us so much of information. That was insightful. I think we'll be giving room to maybe a few persons, just one or two that might have something to say. So if you can signify and just unmute your mic, maybe some people cannot ask questions by typing and you want to just speak directly. Just 1 or 2 minutes, so we'll wrap this up. So while we wait for that, I would also say you can follow us on all our social media platforms like LinkedIn, just type in Authority, on Twitter, also on Facebook, all our social media platforms. And very soon, a free training will also be coming up, a free training on in the IT sector also, which you see shortly. You can see on our LinkedIn page also, a free training will be coming up. So I would suggest and advise based on the content of this current one, because it's actually a lot of content that you sign up and register for such free trainings that we bring up in the future. So if there is no question from anybody, just anybody signifying to ask any further questions. I don't think we have any other person. So thank you very much, Mr. Toby.
I think Dami is saying he wants advice on cybersecurity. For someone like that, you can always reach out to us through our emails. Then we can take this engagement forward. But basically, for this webinar is for us to realize that work mode has changed, the way we approach work over the next 2, 3, 5 years. We don't want to be left behind, and that's why Authority is bringing this up for all of us to benefit. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayo.
I think there's one person to ask a question. I can see Francis. You can unmute, Mr. Francis, if you don't mind. You can unmute and ask a question. Mr. Francis. Okay. If you like to unmute so that you can go ahead with the questions, we don't have so much of time. If not, I would wrap up this webinar by saying a very big thank you to all that joined, to all those that joined. And we'll be looking forward to having you on subsequent sessions.
I think
Hello.
Adedokun's
Hello.
hello, Nobu.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, it's quite unfortunate. I've been having unstable network from the beginning of this meeting, so I've not been able to really catch the vibes, everything. But the little I've been able to capture, I'm really grateful for the knowledge I've been able to obtain from the little. So now my question is, for someone like me, okay, I am very much interested in the cyberspace, especially the cybersecurity field. I'm currently studying computer science and mathematics at the National Open University. I think this should be a very wonderful avenue for me to like tap into the industry because it is something I really want for myself. So I need as much help as I can get. How do I get more from this?
Okay. I think the authority team would be the best to answer that.
All right. Problem. Thank you very much.
So let me quickly answer. So of course, a lot of things are happening. What I would advise is follow the authority team, send us an email. Of course, we'll reach out to you after this meeting to discuss those specifics. But this is what we are into. We grow people. We are a community of that plays also in the cybersecurity space. Let's have a conversation with you. Let's know your interest, your profile, what you have already. Then we can advise you on how to go forward and upskill within a very short period of time.
All right. I think that will be very helpful.
So I think that will be all for today. Thank you all
Okay.
for joining.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Francis.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead, Mr. Francis.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Francis, we can hear you.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say thank you, as in for this, Mr. Toby. It's an eye opener, as in you've been able to. For me, I gained value, as in being able to come here and hear this, and it's like I said, it's an eye opener for me on how to leverage on this type of opportunity, especially for those of us that play in the IT space. I also do know that for those that not maybe fully IT guys, it's an open avenue for every one of us. But one thing I also wanted to add is that for us looking at as in remote jobs, basically, the opportunities are out there as you mentioned and told us, but we also need to look at our kind of focus and exactly what we want to do, because some of us as in our jobs are much more interfacing with hardware, and it could be difficult as in those type of areas. I don't know what kind of answer you will give to such people. Like I saw somebody asking about offshore engineering, and to me, even though I have little knowledge about that, I know that has to do with more of rig, and you may have to interface more as in with hardware, which means remote work. I don't know if that's readily available, or maybe there's a difference between remote work and remote job. You can find a remote job, but they definitely have to maybe move you to site at the end of the day. I don't know if there's a difference in between that, but basically, how does someone that you mentioned HR earlier too in your presentation? How do people that are not really soft skilled, especially for the IT guys, that are soft skills. Those people that are more hard skills that have to, interface with one hardware or the other. How could they, how could they benefit as in from this?
So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Francis. For me, what I would say is this: for you to fully maximize, the opportunities for remote work, you need to be, as much as possible, play in fields that allow such, right? So, for instance, if you're going to be dealing with a lot of hardwares, it also depends on the kind of job you're doing, right? So, for I did a course sometime for Google's IT, I think IT fundamentals or something for customer service, etc. Right? So there's a course on that, which what those guys do is they do hardware, but for most of the remote part of the things that they're doing, they interface with customers over they interface with customers over the phone and actually walk them through processes of getting those things done themselves. So it's more of a DIY process for a couple of these organizations. So if you're, for instance, going to see a job that requires you to work remotely, and also the job requires you to deal with hardwares, for the company to even post a job online, right, and ask that they want someone remote, they probably have a framework around that, how that is supposed to play out. So for me, it's one, basically identifying those kind of jobs, right, and seeing how best you can play in those fields. So for instance, it's why I had a discussion earlier about also upskilling with regards to the kind of skill sets that you need, especially to be able to tap into the remote work. So if you're working in IT that deals with hardware, I think personally, for you to be able to fully maximize remote work opportunities, you need to look to upskill and to go into the aspects of IT that has gone to the cloud, right? Which is why I gave examples around cloud computing, for instance. And basically, most parts of IT now are basically being domiciled in the cloud. Nobody wants to be spending a lot of money on hardware any longer. So it means you also need to start looking for how you can actually upskill with regards to how these infrastructures are currently being used as an online platform, as a cloud platform, and upskill yourself to acquire knowledge in those areas for you to be able to maximize remote work. I don't know if that answered your question, Francis.
No, thank you very much. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. I actually appreciate that. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
So thank you very much. So we need to wrap this up now. We're far behind schedule. Thank you very much for all those that joined. I would plead that you guys go to our LinkedIn page, follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter. Just search for Authority, and also give your comments as regards this webinar that we just held. Give your feedback, your comments, how we can help you. You can send us a mail. If you need any personal or career tutoring, we could help you with that. So thank you very much for all those that joined today. I really appreciate you for joining this webinar.